So in this little blog snippet, I'm going to cover, well, let me just show you. So basically, when you click on this character, they give you a list of available actions. And there's been some talk about making this, improving on this list, but that's a different task. The task that I'm about to address is if I do, let's say I don't want any of these characters to do it. I just want them all to hang around and I want to see what the players do. I can hit wait remaining. And now when you click on these characters, the list doesn't show that they have any tasks available to give them. And what happens is, as you can see, Bob, the other player, well, the only player, he's still figuring out what to do with his character. And playtesting the other day, GM, the playtester who was doing the GM was saying, it'd be really nice if like I told everybody to wait, and then I realized, if the players are still figuring out what they're doing, I can move some people around. So I can click on these guys and move them around or something, and I can't. Well, the funny thing is, so this is where it gets interesting, because you can click on this guy, you can cancel the current action, and then let's say I want to move him, and I can give him a destination to move to. So you can do that, but it's not, it's kind of interesting. When you look at this guy and you highlight him, well, he should say moving and it doesn't, so actually there's another bug there. But the point is, you can tell by the icon and the direction arrow and stuff, but there's no indication between this person is waiting and this person doesn't have an action yet. But the thing is not having an action holds up your turn. Your turn is not complete until all of your characters have an action. And that's really important for the GM, because the GM has, like on this map, I've got guys up here, I've got guys down here, I've got these guys, and all of these guys, there's two more down here, all of these guys have to have an action before, and this isn't I have dungeons with a lot more monsters than this. All of these characters have to have actions before the GM's turn is over. So this wait remaining button is great, because in most cases you're only worried about, like you have this encounter that is occurring in this area. I don't really care about, monsters that are on the other side of the map. They can wait. So just this wait remaining button is great because you can give that wait action to everybody else. But it is an action. They are actively waiting. They're not without an action, which is, like I said, from the standpoint of the code, makes perfect sense. But if you're thinking, well, what are you talking about? That's exactly the problem, is from the player's perspective, there's not really a perceivable difference between waiting and not having an action. It seems like the same thing. So the fact that when you click on this guy, you then need to cancel the current action, that's confusing. So what I've decided to do is, and this has two advantages. What I've decided to do is, when you click on somebody, if they're waiting, instead of having to cancel it, it will give you the normal, like if I cancel this, it'll give you this list. And if you select a new action for them, it will automatically cancel the wait action and then add, whatever action you've selected. Now that does two things. The one is it just reduces the amount of clicks by one. There's one less click you have to make. But I think the far more important thing is it allows the UI to behave more like the players feel like it should. And I think that's much more important because, the way this tester described it to me, he felt like it was a bug, like something wasn't working right. Like, you need to add this feature. And I'm like, it's already, like, literally, it's right there. He's like, well, Zai, I can't give this guy a different action. Yeah, you can just cancel it. But like, literally, he didn't realize that would work. And that's the kind of UI confusion that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, making sure that the UI behaves very intuitively, that what people think is going to happen is what actually happened. Like, you don't have to explain to them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so now for this situation where the change in behavior is so subtle that you really have to pay attention. And hopefully, since I shot the video of what it was like before, and now I'm shooting, since the videos will be spliced together, hopefully it'll be obvious. But if I do wait remaining, what I've done now is every one of these creatures actually have a wait activity as their current activity. But Now when I click on them, it doesn't say that activity needs to be canceled. So on the one hand, this seems, they're sitting around, they're waiting. You can also see that this player is named Joe. For some reason, I always name the two test players when I play against myself, Joe and Bob. And you can see the game thinks that Joe has given all of his players an activity. And yet when I click on them, I can assign them new activities without canceling the previous one. So for example, if I decide to give this guy a move to, and I click over here, this guy, but when I click on this guy, I get this screen that I was getting before, because basically it's a more intuitive behavior. With a move, if you want to give them a different activity, you would basically want to explicitly cancel it. Whereas if they're waiting, that's, from the player standpoint, that's kind of indistinguishable from not having an activity, even though they are different things. I don't think, well, I'm going to say I don't think. Based on the play testing I've done, players don't think of them as different things. So now they behave as if they have no activity, which, again, based on the play testing, is essentially what players expect. So, not a big deal. Only took me an hour and a half to make the changes, and it's more intuitive, and it's also one less click that the player has to do. So just an improvement all around.